Ooh, what is going on, guys? Bearded Storyteller here. Man, I tell you what, I'm happier than a fat kid on a cupcake, let me tell you. I picked up a pretty nice, beautiful little crown jewel to show you today. Whew, boy, I tell you what, boy, god dog, man, happier than a prostitute on payday right now, my goodness. So I have managed to score a very nice 1957 Remington Model 721, chambered in 30-06. Let me tell you. Now, this right here is not just any 30-06. This is kind of similar to what your grandpa would have used way back in the day, or maybe your dad would have used way back in the day. It does have a 24-inch barrel. You got your front sight there. Your rear sight would have went here. From the looks of it, that sucker got broke somehow, which is why they mounted the scope on here. It is drilled and tapped, which is, I believe that's from factory. You could put a scope on it from the factory, but this isn't the scope mounts that would have came on it, nor is it the scope that would have came on it from way back when. But anyhow, this thing here, man, it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Maybe not to you. Maybe it's not beautiful to you, but it is beautiful to me. I mean, this is back whenever Remington made stuff to last. Before we go any further, I'll just verify it is empty. Okay, it is empty. It's clear. There's nothing in it. And how I acquired this is me and my FFL, my Federal Firearms License Dealer, whatever you want to call it, we did a trade. And what I did was I took my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 full-size 40 caliber, and I traded him even swap for this. He got this thing, apparently the kid that brought this thing in, he inherited it through a family member, I'm guessing, that passed away or something like that. Fell on some hard times and was forced to sell it or something. And so I ended up getting this thing for a good deal, you know, for a good trade. And I'm very, very happy with it. Now, this thing does have the old school Tasco scope on it. It is a 3 to 9 by 40. It is a variable power zoom scope, of course, you know, as you would already suspect. And it is the high gloss black. Now, according to the manufacturer date on the scope, this thing was made in what was it? I gotta look here on the bottom. Hang on a second. It was made. Yeah, here we go. It was built in September of 1994. So, yeah, that's the claim to fame. So 9409. So that means that it was, you know, the 9th month, which is September, and then obviously 1994. So anyway, it's pretty cool though. Really nice little scope that it's got on here. I haven't shot this thing, nor have I tried to sight it in or nothing like that. I just did the trade and XYZ. This thing, for being a 1957, has zero rust on it whatsoever. I mean, absolutely no rust on it. I have looked this thing over from front to back. The only place where it has a little bit of rust, literally, is just right here on the scope mount itself, just a hair touch. And then on the other side on the scope mount, just a touch. And that's just the base plate that the scope mounts to that has a little bit of rust on it. But other than that, it has metal scope rings. It has a metal scope. The body is obviously, the entire action, barrel, all that stuff is metal, obviously. It doesn't have a magazine that pops out or anything like that, you know, so you got to load it through the top. Right here where your bolt is where you slide your rounds into, just like so. And man, I tell you what, the action on this baby is just, I mean, oh, it is like nothing I have ever felt before in my life. Let me tell you what. This thing is so butter smooth. I mean, it really brings me back to a time whenever I was a teenager. I'm not much older than a teenager now, you know, I'm 26, but back whenever I was 15, 16, partially 17, I had a Ruger Model 77 Mark II chambered in 270. 270 Winchester. It had a Leopold 3 to 9x40 scope on it. And man, that was the best shooting rifle I ever had in my life, let me tell you. Me and my stepdad were both able to shoot beer bottles at 400 yards with that thing. I mean, that's how flat shooting it was. You just aim over the target like 3 to 4 inches and you could generally hit center of that beer bottle. It was absolutely crazy. But anywho, the action on that rifle was as smooth as this one is. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely nuts. And just for a comparison, I brought out my other hunting rifle. This right here is my Remington Model 710, chambered in 7mm rim mag. This one also has a 24-inch barrel on it. Up on top here we have a 6 to 18 by 50 millimeter scope. It's a fancy scope, let me tell you what, way too fancy for this rifle. But anyway, the action on this thing isn't, I mean, it's crap, you know. It'll do the job, and it might take a deer or two or 20. But the action on it is not great. It is really, really not great, let me tell you. This one does have a magazine that you can pop out, which is nice. You know, you got your removable magazine. That's cool. If you need parts for it, you're shit out of luck. This thing was made in 2005. It's horrendous. Like, it's an okay action, but it's not wonderful. You know, like I've had to polish up the bolt on it. I had to soak it, or I'm sorry, not soak it, but I had to coat it in gun grease and then lube it up with oil on top of grease just to get it to where it's as smooth as it is right now. Now look, you take the thing, you pull the trigger, and trying to get the bolt to lift up, it's really stiff. Once you get it back and you get it, you know, placed back in place, you're good to go. But I mean, it's stiff, you know, it's not good at all. Not to mention, this thing has a polymer frame, but it weighs more than my Remington 721 with a wood stock. You know what I mean? I think I just said polymer frame. If I said polymer frame, please forgive me. I meant to say polymer stock. This right here has a polymer frame, okay? That's a polymer frame. But this has a polymer stock, and it weighs more than what my 721 weighs with a wood stock. So, anyway, we'll be over that now. But anywho, the 7mm also has a lot of recoil. Let me tell you, it's a stout old boy. But anywho, back to the 721. So, first of all, I mean, it's just, oh Jesus, man, I'm a orgasm all over the place here. So you pull the trigger on this one, you know, and lifting up on the bolt, smooth as butter, man. I mean, I'm telling you, whoever had this rifle took immaculate care of it. I mean, I'm telling you, immaculate freaking care of it. It is absolutely insane to think that this thing is the better part of, I don't know. It's old. Like, it's a 1957, 5.7. You know, according to the serial number on this thing, which I had to look for hours and hours online to try to find what year this thing was manufactured, And what I ended up doing was I just ended up calling Smith and West or Remington. I ended up calling Remington, and I told them what the serial number was on it and what the markings on the barrel. There's like a date code on the barrel. I gave them that date code, and they were able to chalk it up to being a 1957. It was manufactured August of 1957. So this thing is that old, you know, and it is still in the most beautiful condition. I mean, I'm telling you, the wood does have a couple of little dings in it. You know, it's not perfect. It does have some imperfections. You know, you might be able to get a decent view right there. I mean, but we'll go ahead and roll it over, show you the other side a little bit. I mean, it's okay. You know, the wood is in good condition. It's not all cracked up and, you know, stuff like that. It could use some refinishing, but it, you know, overall, it's a deer rifle. You know, your dad or grandpa, Uncle Sam, or, you know, Joe Blow down the street would have taken this rifle into the woods probably and, you know, hit it up against trees, and, you know, there's no telling who did what with this rifle. But I'm telling you, this thing, in my eyes, is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous to me. To you, you're probably like, get the fuck out of here. To me, I mean, this thing is an art piece to me. I didn't even know that the 721 existed. Apparently, they did, and some of them still do. But they this was made before the Model 700 came out. The 721 was made from 1948 to 1961, and then the Model 700 was supposed to replace this, and they manufactured the Model 700 in 1962. And of course, quality control was kind of everywhere, you know, for the whole life of the Model 700, yet it was more famous than this one was. Obviously, because they made it for far longer, and, you know, that was the world-renowned rifle to have. Even the military was like, yeah, let me get in on some of that, baby girl. So, but somehow, a lot of people, from what I was reading online, which I spent hours reading online, believe me, a lot of people were saying that this Model 721 was actually more accurate than the Model 700. The action on it is smoother than a Model 700, which, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I used to have a Model 700, and it was a 700 ADL 30-06, and I ended up selling that to a buddy of mine. It was his rifle. He sold it to me, then I sold it back, and, you know, that's just how it was. But anywho, so I ended up, I had that 700, and it was smooth. Don't get me wrong, it was smooth, but it wasn't like this smooth. I mean, there's nothing that compares to this almost. I mean, this really comes back the closest to the Ruger 77 270 I used to have. I mean, I'm telling you, there's nothing that comes close. I mean, maybe Browning rifles are that smooth. Maybe the old school Weatherbys are that smooth. I don't know. I've never handled a Weatherby, but you know, I hear tell they're pretty smooth. But I'm telling you, whatever this is made of, I mean, it's a good rifle. And for me, I'm not going to be hunting with this rifle. I probably won't never hunt with it. I bought this to collect it, because the value on these things are going up all the time. I was looking on Gunbroker and Arms List and stuff like that, and ones that are in very similar condition to this, or the same condition as this, are going for anywhere for $500 to $700. Some going for $800. Special edition ones are going for $1,200 to $1,500. I mean, it's insane. So the guy, the FFL that had this for sale, had it posted for $475. And the only reason that he didn't want no more than that is because, you know, 30-06 is hard to sell. Believe it or not. 30-06 is basically obsolete by today's standards. You know, everybody wants the latest and greatest deer calibers and they want the latest and greatest deer rifles. Everybody wants 6.5 Creedmoor and 22 250 and 7mm this and 6.8 that and what else you call it? They want 308 rifles, and they want the latest and greatest technology that's out. Whatever the hottest caliber is. 350 Legend, 450 Bushmaster, 458 SOCOM. That's what they want to hunt deer with. They don't want some old ass grandpa obsolete 30-06. So he was just trying to hurry up and get off of it. He didn't want to sitting around for a year before somebody came along and bought it. So he posted it for a really cheap price, and we ended up making a trade on it. And I feel like what I traded him was worth a little bit more, simply because I had 13 magazines for it, an extra holster, and a bunch of extra parts for it. And, it was a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 full size 40 caliber 4.25 inch barrel. Had the case with it, the extra back straps, Hogue grip, had some custom work done to it. So I felt like it was worth a little bit more than this was. But ultimately, once I seen what the prices of these things are going for online, I was like, man, he's like majorly underselling that rifle. So if I keep this thing and I hold on to it, not only will this rifle probably outlast me and all of my kids, but it'll also go up in value as well. So if I keep this thing for 10, 15 years, keep it in really good condition, and then I fall on hard times, or I need the money, or something happens, or maybe I'm just ready to sell it and move on to something else, well, then I can sell this and turn a big profit off of it, because I would imagine that from here the value is only going to go up even more. So considering that they quit making this back in 1961, I mean, yeah, value's going up on it. Not to mention it has the old school Tasco scope. Back when Tasco made good scopes to last. They were always cheap scopes, but they were really good quality scopes back in the day. Anyway, I wouldn't say that they're Leopold good or Leupold or Bushnell, old school Bushnell, or something like that. I wouldn't say they're that good, old school Weaver good, but they're good scopes nonetheless. I mean, it'll take a deer at 300 yards or whatever. But anywho, this thing is like a million light years apart compared to my 710. I'm going to attempt to do this, and I'm probably going to majorly fail at it. But anyway, yeah. So you got these two big boys right here, and I tell you, this one right here, it's an okay rifle. It's basically a budget-oriented, entry-level deer rifle. They don't make these anymore. They obviously don't make them anymore because the 710 was nothing shy of a complete failure. It was a complete failure. So it wasn't in production very long, needless to say. I think they quit making them back in 2007 or something, 2006. So their production run was very, very short. The only reason that I have the 710 is because I found it at a pawn shop for $225. I didn't know that the Remington 710 was a piece of crap, or I would not have got it. And whenever I first got it, it had a Nikon scope on it, which, those are very expensive scopes. And of course, I took that off and put it on my Remington 700 that I used to have, which I sold to my buddy. But anyway, so I ended up replacing that scope with the Simmons 6 to 18 by 50 millimeter variable power zoom scope. Anywho, so I probably won't be taking any deer with the old school Remington 721, or I might. You never know. I mean, if I get invited to go on a special deer hunting trip or something like that, I might. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, guys, if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure you put that down in the comment section down below. If you want to, be sure to like and subscribe. If you have anything you would like to add, maybe you have a 710 or a 770, or you have a 721 or 722, or know somebody that did, Be sure you tell me your experience. If you had a 710 and it was a piece of crap, let me know down in the comment section down below. If you got anything that you would like to ask or add or anything like that, just anything, put it down in the comment section down below. I appreciate you guys' time. Y'all take care. Have a great day, and don't do anything I wouldn't do.